Issues is all I get. Because Windows is not testing their software. Also, I did spell it right apparently, so let's get rid of that one up there. Dyslexia is a really joy, but again, issues updated my Intel driver for my ARC CPU, and then OBS had a hasty fit and I had to reboot to fix it. That's the choice of being an early adapter. That's not what we're going to talk about. Well, it kind of is, because we're talking about software not being tested. And I think this is not a software not being tested, just think it's a compatibility issue with OBS. What we are going to talk about is Windows users are the testers, and that's why Windows is bad and you should not be using it. Go over and use Linux instead, because on Linux you're not the tester. Okay, so where does this come from? Well, there's a lot of articles, I think, about Windows 10 is like 2015 is there about. Microsoft lay off most of their testing team. A former Microsoft employee explained why box in Windows. The testing team ran the test on, in quotes, real hardware in a lab through automated testing. The machines had different hardware components and so on and so on. That is true, but that's how almost every software is being tested nowadays. It's either AI or really limited tested, and then you sign up for a beta channel or something like that, and you are the tester, or you are the test team basically. And I saw a lot of people in the Linux world being really angry or laughing at Microsoft for you don't have a testing team and blah 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 blah. Well, Microsoft is basically just doing what Linux has been doing since the beginning. I think the only companies that test hardware or Linux on real hardware is probably maybe OpenSUSE to some extent, but SUSE, Red Hat, and Canonical. But the hardware they test is probably more akin to, like, let's say, laptops and servers, because that's where they make most, like, at least SUSE and Red Hat, they probably use mostly servers. They test their software on servers. Your computer is not a server. The technology on a server motherboard and the way the CPUs work, the memory works, is kind of the same as a desktop, but it's still different. If you go on to good old DistroWatch, and we accept that they take my kidney, almost any distribution on here do not have a testing team in a traditional way. It's either done by AI, that's the SUSE route. SUSE/OpenSUSE was one of the first Linux distributions, still is kind of one of the only Linux distributions that actually do testing of the software before they put it in. Well, do AI testing or automatically testing. Canonical, it's kind of the user, you and I, that are doing it via Launchpad. We can download, the software and test it if we want to. Debian, they have a whole testing branch that you can use and then submit bug to. What Microsoft is doing right now is what Linux has been doing since its inception. So there's no real, I don't get this that, okay, Windows don't have a testing team anymore, so therefore Linux bad. Let's start and take out fucking Linux distributions then, because almost any of them don't have a testing team, or they're using what Windows is doing right now, are really bare-bone testing team with automatic testing. And then you, the user, can sign up for beta channel, alpha channel, testing channels, or what you would call it, and you're now the tester of the software. Go on to the Linux distribution right now that you're probably watching this video on and being angry at me on. Look at how much of the software that you're running right now that's not even fucking fully released yet. A lot of the software that you use on Linux is beta alpha software, aka you are testing it for the developers. You can go down here and you can see the packages. What's this? This is Manjaro. So at release here, green, that means that it's the current version. Red, I think they have an explanation of it here, but red, I think it means alpha or beta here. Red is development or beta version. Green text is stable version. So this is not a stable version. This must not be a stable version. Look at how much that's green. And some is even red. So, development or beta version. Let's look at Mint. At release. It's not the current stable version. It may be stable, but it's outdated. It's older versions and stuff like that. We don't know if they have backported bug fixes and stuff like that in. I hope they do, and they probably also have. But we don't know that unless we read the test. Let's look at EndeavourOS. You see a lot of outdated stuff here. You even see some testing and development software here. MX Linux. You see a lot of outdated and a few queens. Again, outdated in software terms don't mean that it's not security patched and stuff like that. It just mean that you're probably not using the latest and greatest features and stuff like that. And there could be bugs, security fixes that may not be fixed yet in them also. This is normal for Linux. Windows is bad for not having a test team. Well, Linux is bad for not having a test team. Or at least most Linux distributions don't have a test team. Why is it that people are this fucking unknowledgeable about the operating system that they like the most? We are all sitting here praising Linux for being great and stable and all of that fucking shit without having test teams, or at least the same amount of test teams that Windows had back in the day. But this here, they're basically doing what the Linux world have been doing for 30 years. And it seems to be working. So what is the problem? Oh, Windows have more issues with software and hardware. Windows support more software and hardware. So yeah, there will be more bugs. I made a roughly calculation about how many Linux desktops, not servers, but desktops there are in the world. And it's about 180 something thousand. Was it 180,000? Or million? 180 million, I think it was. Computers out there running Linux. Versus 2+ billion Windows installs. So just from a statistically standpoint, you should have more issues on 2 billion computers, or there should collectively be more bugs on 2 billion computers than there are on 180 million computers. Because there are more users, there's more variations, there are more variables and stuff like that. So therefore, your configurations, your software and stuff like that is being tested by the user or used by the user in ways that may not have been tested, from the developer. So it's a little bit disingenuous to point and laugh at Windows for having issues because they don't have a testing team anymore, while your system never really had a testing team. 9 out of 10 or 99% of the testing that is being done on the desktop is being done by you, or on the server market is being done with a select configuration of hardware, server hardware. And your computer is not a server hardware. You see how the worldview is really skewed. And that's why one of the reasons why I'm really critical about people saying Linux is X versus Windows, because Linux has never been tested on a desktop the same way that Windows is being tested. It's comparing a thing that's been tested by 2 users in 2 use cases versus a thing that's been tested by millions of people in millions of different use cases. Understand your system, bro. See you all later. Bye-bye.